All right, guys, so I needed to add a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. There's several times throughout this video you'll hear me say that the Bluetooth audio quality is just not up to par. The whole time I was testing these, I was testing them Bluetooth connection with the Galaxy Z Fold 4, and I noticed that I was getting distortion at anything above, basically medium volume, and that's just not normally a characteristic of a planar magnetic driver headphone or headset. So I got to thinking about it more after the review, and I tested it with a Pixel phone, I tested it with an iPad, I tested it with a Windows laptop, and I didn't have any of those issues. It only seemed to be with the Galaxy Z Fold 4. So I wanted to put this disclaimer at the beginning of the video to at least, say that a lot of the issues that I was saying with the Bluetooth quality was really to do with one device, and I didn't have it with the others. But also, I still want to say that I do think the PlayStation Link connection is just the far better way to experience this headset, even with listening to music. It definitely is better when it comes to syncing up the mouth moving with the words, but the review is based off my issues with one particular device, the connection that I had with it, and not the connection that I had with other devices that I tested afterwards. So I felt like it was important to put this disclaimer at the beginning of the video. But you guys can now go and enjoy the rest of the video. All right, guys, so today's video is on the brand new Sony PlayStation Pulse Elite wireless headset. And before we get into the headset itself, I do want to point out that this video is not sponsored, although Sony did send out the Pulse Elite wireless headset along with a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation Portal so that I could fully get the intended use out of the headset and the way that they're meant to be used. But there are some other ways that you can use these, which we'll talk about. But I did want to point this out so you guys know that this video is not sponsored. Sony does not get to see this video ahead of time. You guys are seeing it at the exact same time that Sony gets to see this. And my opinion is not swayed in any way by having the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation Portal. Now, before we get into the actual headset that we're going to talk about, I do want to say that one of my favorite gaming headsets of all time was like the OG PlayStation Pulse Elite Edition. It was a headset that came out in 2012. It was originally for the PlayStation 3, and at the time, it was the first, if not the only headset that Sony has ever had that had haptic feedback, so that you could like feel the shaking of the bass from the ear pads, you could feel it in the headband. It was a different experience with gaming that I just loved. I even used it with music, and I was very surprised that they called the new ones the Pulse Elite wireless headset, because they're nothing like the original ones, which we'll talk about why that is. But I do want to say that these come in at $149, and they are officially being released on February the 21st. So at the time that this video is being released, they're not actually out yet. So this is kind of like a first look. But what makes this pair different and what gets me excited about the future when it comes to Sony products is the planar magnetic drivers that these are using. Now, Sony bought out the company Audeze back in November of 2023, and that is more of a higher end audio company that focused on planar magnetic drivers. They have perfected that sound. And so Sony is implementing that into this headset. And I think, again, I'm hoping that this is the direction that Sony goes in moving forward. And I hope they implement it on a pair of headphones with noise canceling. But we'll see how that works out. But this is the first pair they're taking advantage of that. And what that's doing is giving you a different type of audio experience from normal dynamic drivers. It's a different sound signature altogether, which we'll talk about once we get into the sound. And this pair is also compatible with taking advantage of games that use that 3D audio. Now, as far as the connections that this headset has, it is using Sony's new PlayStation Link connection, and that is where the PlayStation Portal, it already has PlayStation Link built in. So you don't have to use the PlayStation Link USB dongle that they've included. With the PlayStation Portal, it just directly connects right to it, and it is very seamless. It makes it easy to just put the headset on, turn it on, and you're just gaming right away, no matter where you are in your house. And the convenience of that, I can't stress enough of how much I've enjoyed using that. But the dongle you plug straight into the PlayStation 5, or you can actually plug it into a PC or a Mac, anything that's using a normal USB connection. And the PlayStation Link connection is meant to give you lossless audio. It's taking out any kind of compression that you normally get when you're listening to audio wirelessly, especially when you're using earbuds and headphones that use Bluetooth, which this headset also has Bluetooth connection as well. But I can tell you this, throughout testing the audio with Bluetooth and testing the audio with the PlayStation Link is definitely the way to experience this headset. But you can use it Bluetooth connected to your phone or your tablet, and you can also have the Bluetooth connection and the PlayStation Link connection going at the same time. So you could be gaming on your PlayStation 5 and you could take a phone call from your phone without having to stop anything. Or you can listen to music kind of like as a background thing from your phone while gaming on your PlayStation 5 if you want to do that for some reason. But the audio on the Bluetooth connection, although it sounded good at lower volumes, I noticed when I turned it up that I started to get distortion when it came to bass. And the surprising thing about that is when you're using a headset or a pair of headphones that have planar magnetic drivers, you don't normally have to worry about distortion at all, which again, when I use these with the PlayStation Link connection, I had absolutely zero distortion at the most ridiculously turned up volume that I can have it. So I don't know what's going on with the Bluetooth connection. Another thing is the controls on the headset don't allow for any Bluetooth controls. Now this is the same thing that we saw in the Pulse Explorer wireless earbuds. Again, those are using the PlayStation Link connection, but had a Bluetooth connection. But it just does not give you any controls. I just want to be able to have my controls all from the headset. I don't want to have to pull out my phone to be able to do this. Now, as far as the design and the overall look of the headset, it definitely screams that this is a gaming headset. And it does look a lot like the Sony Pulse 3D headset that they already have, except that you see it protrudes a little bit more away from the ear cups. Then this actually serves a purpose. There's a microphone built on the left-hand side. It actually pulls out where you can have it right in front of your mouth. So if you don't want it right there and you just want to use it, like it normally is, you can do that. But if you want it more directly in front of your mouth so you don't feel like you have to talk as loud, you can do that. And on the mic, it actually has a mute button, and that's the only control that's on the left-hand side. All of your inputs and all of your buttons and everything pretty much are located on the right side of the headset. This is where you have your USB-C connection to be able to charge these, although they also include a charging hanger that's taking advantage of these pins that are located at the top of the headband, where you can just sit this on that hanger and it will charge that way. So you don't actually have to plug in a USB-C cable every time into the headset to actually be able to charge these. There's also a 3.5mm headphone jack connection if you want to use these wired. There is a power button, which is also your pairing button and also the button that allows you to connect to the PlayStation Link. And then there is a volume up and down rocker, and that's all the controls that you actually get. Again, there's no Bluetooth controls, which is a little disappointing. And the headset itself is extremely light. It's a pair that you can wear for a long period of time. And the headband is actually this silicone piece that just kind of suspends right there at the top. So it just expands or retracts depending on the size of your head. The ear pads on these are a pleather, like extremely soft. I would definitely say this is memory foam, because you can tell that you can push it down and it just slowly expands out. It's just a very comfortable headset to wear. Now back to talking about the charging on these. The battery life is such a huge difference between these and the original Pulse Elite Edition headset that came out in 2012, because that pair I was only able to get 3, maybe 4 hours of use out of, where with this pair you can get up to 30 hours. And on top of that, if you do happen to pick them up and they're dead, let's say you didn't charge them the night before, you can charge them for 10 minutes and get 2 hours of use. So this type of fast charging I'm always happy to see on earbuds and headphones or whatever, because I am kind of guilty of not always making sure that my headset or headphones are charged already. Now, the microphone that we talked about earlier, I think they did a really good job of how well it picks up my voice. And it's also using what they call AI enhanced noise rejection. So if you're in a room where other people are talking, or if you have a fan or an AC unit or something that's making some noise in the background, it's definitely blocking a good bit of that out. And again, I think it does a really good job with this. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here's the mic test with the mic pulled all the way out. You can see it's not directly in front of my mouth. It's just kind of off to the side. This is to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you use it this way. And so now I've pushed the mic all the way back into the headset. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to use it with the mic not actually being pulled out. So now let's talk about the sound. And the sound is definitely what makes these stand out. The planar magnetic drivers is just giving you such a different experience than just normal dynamic drivers. But everything I'm gonna say here mainly applies to using them with that PlayStation Link connection. Again, I just feel like the Bluetooth audio is not the main focus with this pair, but using them with that PlayStation Link connection, this is an extremely detailed and natural sounding pair of headphones or gaming headset. It's not heavily focused on bass, and not having that dynamic driver means it's not trying to replicate like subwoofer type bass. Most gaming headsets are boomy, they're bloated bass, it's trying to do too much when it comes to dynamics, and what this pair is trying to do is something kind of completely different from that. The dialogue is definitely up front, so hearing male or female vocalists, hearing people talking, all of that's just right there up front. But what that's also doing is pulling out a lot of details when it comes to hearing footsteps, or it comes to hearing like leaves rustling off to the side. The treble is boosted on these, so it just has this really nice clean sound to it. Now, I don't want to say that there's no bass in these at all, because the difference is you're not feeling the bass, but you're hearing the bass. The best way to kind of explain this is if you're shooting a gun in a game, if you're using a bass heavy headset, that boom, 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 it just sometimes can just get a little congested. It can get muddy, and it takes away from it sounding as accurate as it would be if you were to experience this in real life, where the planar magnetic drivers is making it where you can just separate each one of those sounds. And, you know, again, mixing this with the 3D sound in like Spider-Man 2, it's so mind-blowing to hear wind and to hear just, again, leaves in the trees and where different enemies are coming from. So really, if you use them the way they're intended to be used with that PlayStation Link connection, I really don't see many things that can compete with it. I think where it falls flat is obviously with the Bluetooth connection, and maybe that's just a bonus. I mean, obviously a lot of gaming headsets don't have that Bluetooth connection, and maybe Sony just said, let's just throw that in there so people don't feel like they have to disconnect from their phone. Or, you know, if an emergency, somebody calls, you can answer that and not have to, again, stop what you're doing. I don't know. I can just tell that Bluetooth was not the main function with these. I said the same thing when I reviewed the Pulse Explorer earbuds. And the main focus is that PlayStation Link connection, and using it in every way that I used it, I was just completely blown away by it. So my overall opinion is this is Sony's top tier headset. Now I know that they have the InZone wireless headset. They have different models of that. They have pairs that have noise canceling, but the sound quality of those just don't compare to the sound quality of these. Again, I'm disappointed in the look because I can't just go out and wear this like a normal pair of headphones. But again, maybe that's just not what Sony was intending for these to be, because already that Bluetooth connection is not giving you the best audio experience compared to the PlayStation Link connection. And my main way that I like to use these, and the way that I feel like these stood out the most, is using them with the PlayStation Portal. Being able to just use them in any room and not have to worry about keeping up with the dongle is a huge plus. But guys, that wraps up my video on the Sony PlayStation Pulse Elite wireless headset. These do come out February 21st. I will have a link in the description where you can get all the info or just to keep updated on these. But thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.